I couldn't believe it when I checked my bank account and saw a 1.5 million charge disappear overnight. The charge wasn't for a business expense, a house, or even a personal splurge. It was for my sister's lavish destination wedding in Paris. And the person responsible? My own mother. She had stolen my credit card without asking, leaving me blindsided and furious. The betrayal cut deeper than money ever could. But this wasn't just about a stolen card. It was about respect, boundaries, and finally standing up to the people who had taken advantage of me for years. How could I turn the tables and teach them a lesson they'd never forget? Growing up, my mother had always played favorites. My sister was her golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Every birthday, every accomplishment, every event was celebrated with extra pomp and attention for her, while I was often left in the shadows. Even when I went above and beyond, her approval felt impossible to earn. I had learned to pick my battles and focus on building a life of independence. By my late 20s, I had saved a significant amount of money and built a respectable career. I thought I had finally achieved a balance between success and family, maintaining cordial relationships while protecting my personal boundaries. But the illusion of peace shattered the day I discovered the charge. $1.5 million had vanished from my account, funneled into a Parisian dream wedding for my sister. Every detail, from the luxury hotel to the designer dresses, the Eiffel Tower reception and private concerts, had been meticulously paid for without my consent. I tried calling my mother, demanding answers, but she laughed it off. "It's for your sister's big day. She deserves it," she said, as if my hard-earned money was an endless resource. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the audacity of someone taking control of my life and disregarding my boundaries. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. How could the person who raised me, who had taught me about responsibility, justify such theft? But beneath the fury, a plan began forming. This wasn't the time for confrontation. It was the time for strategy, for teaching a lesson they would never forget. The following weeks were a whirlwind of investigation and careful planning. I called my bank, disputed the charge, and froze my accounts to prevent further unauthorized spending. Then I began documenting every interaction with my mother and sister, creating a meticulous record of their actions. Every lie, excuse, and justification would be used to show them that actions have consequences. While they celebrated Paris in luxury, I quietly laid the groundwork to reclaim control. I contacted lawyers, financial advisors, and experts in asset protection. I was determined not only to recover the stolen money, but also to ensure that they couldn't repeat such entitlement in the future. My sister remained blissfully unaware of the tension brewing beneath the surface. She posted pictures of herself on social media, flaunting the expensive gowns, the lavish receptions, and the private fireworks. Each post stoked my anger, but I refused to act impulsively. I knew that a measured, calculated response would have a far greater impact than screaming or arguing. I began to create a financial trap, making sure that any attempt to access my money again would be met with legal consequences. I contacted the venue and confirmed payment records, ensuring that my name would appear as the authorized account holder. Every email, every receipt, every interaction was documented, giving me undeniable evidence of their overreach. Finally, I planned the confrontation. But it wouldn't be face-to-face initially. I sent a formal letter to both my mother and sister outlining the unauthorized transactions and requesting immediate repayment. The letter was precise, professional, and unwavering. No emotional appeals, no pleading, just facts. The letter made it clear. Their actions were theft, and I would not tolerate it. As expected, my mother reacted with indignation, claiming it was a family matter and accusing me of being unreasonable. My sister tried to intervene, saying, "Mom just wanted the wedding to be perfect." But I stayed firm. Perfection does not justify theft, entitlement, or disrespect. And in that moment, I realized something vital. This wasn't just about money. It was about respect and boundaries. Two things I had spent my entire life fighting for. The day of the confrontation arrived. I invited both my mother and sister to a small private office with a lawyer present. I had every document, every email, every proof of the unauthorized transactions laid out on the table. My mother's confident demeanor faltered the moment she saw the evidence. I looked at her and said calmly, "This is your chance to make things right. You took $1.5 million without permission. You disregarded my boundaries, my trust, and my hard work. This is theft, and it won't be tolerated," my sister interjected, attempting to justify the wedding. But I held up my hand. "Your justifications don't change the fact that my money was stolen. I am not here to argue about weddings or appearances. I am here to reclaim what is mine and ensure this never happens again." The tension in the room was palpable. My mother tried to downplay her actions, but the lawyer reminded her that there were legal consequences to theft, regardless of familial relations. I watched the realization dawn on her face, the same face that had laughed at my initial outrage. I continued, explaining how every step of my plan, from freezing accounts to documenting evidence, was intended to protect my assets and assert my independence. I wasn't threatening them personally. I was protecting myself. Their entitlement had consequences, and they were about to experience them fully. As I finished speaking, the silence was deafening. My mother's bravado had vanished, replaced by genuine fear of losing not only financial access, but credibility and control. My sister looked stunned, finally realizing that perfection in Paris didn't excuse the harm they had caused me. That moment marked the turning point. For the first time, my mother and sister truly understood that my life, my money, and my success were mine alone. No one could take them, and no one could dictate my boundaries. The lesson had been learned, one they would never forget. In the weeks following the confrontation, my mother repaid a portion of the unauthorized expenses and promised to respect my financial boundaries in the future. My sister, humbled by the experience, began to understand the value of respect and responsibility. More importantly, I felt a sense of liberation I hadn't experienced in years. I realized that standing up for myself was not about revenge. It was about self-respect. Protecting my assets, asserting boundaries, and refusing to let entitlement dictate my life was empowering. I had turned betrayal into strength and disrespect into a lesson for those who had underestimated me. To anyone watching, this story is a reminder. Family ties don't give anyone the right to take advantage of you. Boundaries are not negotiable, and respect must be earned, not assumed. No amount of pressure, entitlement, or justification can override your right to protect your life, your work, and your independence. In the end, my mother and sister learned that actions have consequences, and I learned that standing up for yourself is the ultimate form of self-love. My Parisian lesson wasn't about the money. It was about claiming control, demanding respect, and proving that I would never be taken for granted again.